Afternoon, y'all. It's good to be with you. Sorry for the real delay on this one. I left my computer in my wife's van this morning, and so had to run go get that. Anyway, just been a day. But today we are looking at our readings from Obadiah and Jeremiah 40 through 42, Psalm 147, and First Peter 5. And the main overall theme that we're going to be looking at today is how God brings down the proud, lifts up the humble, and calls his people to trust in his wise care. By the way, I just want to make a quick point. The name Obadiah has, kind of gone out of fashion. That's a name that I think we need to bring back. So, all of you young people who are thinking about having kids here in the near future, I highly recommend the name Obadiah to you. Speaking of Obadiah, Obadiah is one of the minor prophets. He is writing not to Israel or to Judah, which you would expect, but instead is writing as a prophecy to condemn the nation of Edom. Now, if you don't know your history, which again, you hired a historian, I'm going to tell you the history. Uh, Edom traces its lineage all the way back through Isaac's other son, Esau. Of course, there was Jacob and Esau. Jacob, of course, is the father of Israel, and so on and so forth. Esau um, is the son that was kind of dim-witted to a degree. I mean, traded his birthright, for a bowl of soup. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's a great deal if you're Jacob. Uh, but just that he was, and of course, later in Romans chapter 9, we read one of the harshest verses in Scripture. Jacob I've loved, Esau I've hated. Which is one of those verses that Presbyterians, Reformed people kind of look to or to help us in defining and discerning why we believe in predestination or the sovereignty of God in salvation. But anyway, that's off topic a little bit. But Obadiah is writing to Edom. Again, they're basically, I mean, you would say that they're cousins of the Israelites and the people of Judah. But they rejoiced when Jerusalem fell. They were gloating over their pain, and even they were involved in helping plunder the remnant that was left. And God sends judgment to them. By the way, this is one of the minor prophets that is dealing not with the nation of Israel or the nation of Judah, but an outside nation, just like Jonah and Nahum deal with the nations with Nineveh. Um, so again, Obadiah is just a book condemning Edom for their pride, for their treatment of the people of Judah, and basically goes on and says, look, I'm going to bring you down. And we see this kind of float through this idea of bringing down the prideful and exalting the humble in all of our chapters that we look at today. Next, we move on to looking at uh, Jeremiah 40 through 42. This is after the fall of Jerusalem. There's been a group that's already been sent off into Babylon. Jeremiah has remained back behind. They have a governor who is killed, and panic sets in. People come to Jeremiah, say, hey, what should we do? And he says, the answer is, the goddess showed, do not go to Egypt. Stay in the land where you are, and I will build you up. Now, despite the fact that they have 40 years of precedence of Jeremiah knowing what he's talking about because he is God's representative, they accuse Jeremiah of lying and they flee away. I wonder why they even bothered going to Jeremiah. All they really wanted to hear was what they wanted to hear, which was, hey, yeah, God says, run away from your problems. That is not what God says. And again, they're very prideful. They're and one of the things that you can say is that pride and fear kind of masquerade as faith. They said they want to follow God's will, but they really wanted instead God to bless the plans that they themselves had, not what He truly said. And so one of the things that we should have to do is we need to ask God for guidance, but having kind of an open mind about it and not asking God for guidance if we already know which way we're going to go. That's not the way, if you've already determined, I'm going to go this way, but hey, let me just ask the Lord for his favor on this, or let me ask his opinion. No, you really don't want that. Instead, we should say, in humility, Lord, what is your will? Now, again, we're not going to have a burning bush moment or anything like that. But again, if you've already made your mind up what you're going to do, you're past the point of really saying, God, what should I do? Does that make sense? Not that not you can't say, Lord, bless what I'm about to do, but don't go into it with, Lord, I really want to know your opinion on what I should do if you've already made your determination what you're going to do. If you see the difference there, I see the nuance. Maybe just me. Anyway, God in this circumstance is saying, I'm going to bless you where you are, even though that place is chaotic, at least in your mind. I can't imagine, you know, and again, we can certainly look and say, my gosh, what a incredible time to be alive and just so much turmoil, and then for God to say, wait where you are. I'm sure there had to be confusion there, but at the same time, God's proven through Jeremiah that Jeremiah is speaking truth to them over and over, and for them not to listen is just hard heartedness. And then we move into Psalm 147, where we see the celebrating the Lord's rebuilding of Jerusalem. This is going to, happening a little bit later. We get the verses: He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. The Lord lifts up the humble and He casts down the wicked. This psalm is a psalm of restoration after exile. God's people are going to return, and God is basically saying, I don't delight in human might, but in those who fear and hope in my steadfast love. And so one of the things that this should encourage us with is that when we feel broken, God is not despising us. In fact, that's one of the moments where He's drawing near to us. We know that we can rest in Him because He provides this kind of guidance and this kind of protection for us. And that we should know that in the midst of every part of our lives, we depend on His strength and not our own, in order to rebuild the things of our lives. And finally, we got First Peter chapter 5. God is exalting the humble in His due time. Verses 5 and 6, Peter is exhorting believers under the pressure that they're going in. Again, remember, the pressure is the Roman Empire is persecuting them. The Christians have been around at this point. I can't exactly remember. I think it's 30-ish years. And they're growing and prospering, but the Roman Empire has taken notice of them and starting to persecute them. In verses 5 through 6, clothe yourself, all of you, with humility toward one another, for God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Again, all this theme is running through all of our chapters today. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time He may exalt you. And then verse 7 is one of the key, and especially for where we are today. Cast all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you. I cannot emphasize this enough. I've spoken about it with the youth group in the last couple weeks. Their generation is the most anxious generation we've had in a long time, and there's a variety of reasons for that. I mean, anything from they have more access to more news, and usually bad news, and more access to just information, and unfortunately a lot of it is shaky information at best, but it's all meant to lead us to anxiety and worry and fear, because guess what, fear sells papers, as Randolph Hearst determined years and years and years ago. But we are to trust. We are to say, yes, Lord, I have anxieties, but I'm putting them upon you. Yes, I need to think about the different things in my life, and I don't need to just be like, I'm not going to care at all. God's going to take care of everything, and then just kind of sit back in your easy chair. That's not what it means, casting your anxieties. What it means is, yes, I've got concerns. Yes, I'm weary, but Lord, I'm going to trust in you. I'm going to try to, follow what I think you're leading me towards. And if I hit a wall, if I hit a roadblock, pivot and try something else. But I'm not going to fret and I'm not going to worry, because when I do that, bad things happen. Try to take things in my own hand or give up, which is even worse. But all of these things, We should be able to trust in Him because we know that He loves and cares for us. And so when we're tempted to control outcomes, we need to wait humbly on the Lord. When we're brokenhearted, we need to trust that He heals. And when we face opposition, we need to remember that He cares and He will exalt us in His due time, not in ours. Just one of those things for us to remember constantly. Anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we will talk with you tomorrow. Bye.